What if the most famous artifact in history was never meant for the person wearing it? A quantum scanner just proved that King Tut's mask was stolen, and the evidence was buried in the gold itself. For over 3,000 years, that golden face has stared back at us from every museum poster, every history textbook, and every documentary about ancient Egypt. We've been told that it's the face of Tutankhamun, the boy king who died at 19 years old and was buried in one of the most spectacular tombs ever discovered. But that was never his face. The mask was made for someone else, someone powerful, someone who ruled Egypt and then mysteriously vanished from the historical record. And the people who buried Tut knew it. They just hoped no one would ever find out. But before we dive into this insane story, make sure you subscribe to my channel. All right, back to the video. In November of 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter chisels a hole into a sealed chamber in the Valley of Kings. He holds up a candle. His hand is shaking. When asked if he can see anything, he whispers back words that will become legendary. He said, "Yes, wonderful things." Inside was a treasure hoard beyond imagination. Golden chariots, jeweled thrones, painted statues, and at the center, buried within 3 nested coffins, was the golden death mask. 22 pounds of solid gold, inlaid with lapis lazuli and turquoise. The ancient Egyptians believed gold was the literal flesh of the gods. This mask wasn't just art. It was sacred technology designed to help the pharaoh's soul recognize its own body in the afterlife. Without it, the spirit would wander lost forever. For a century, the world accepted this mask as the ultimate masterpiece of ancient Egypt. Flawless, perfect, made specifically for the young king. But experts started noticing problems almost immediately, and the more they looked, the less sense it actually made. So here's what didn't add up. King Tut died unexpectedly, likely from an infection after breaking his leg. Egyptian law was clear. A pharaoh had to be mummified and buried within exactly 70 days. Think about what that deadline means. 70 days to carve an entire tomb out of solid rock. 70 days to build 3 massive coffins that fit inside of each other. And 70 days to create a 22-pound solid gold mask covered in detailed carvings and precious stones from scratch. For a death no one anticipated. The tomb itself tells a different story. Tut's tomb is tiny compared to other royal tombs. Some wall paintings look rushed, unfinished. The stone sarcophagus has chipped corners, like workers forced it into a space too small. And many objects in the tomb weren't originally made for King Tut. Statues with faces that don't look like him, jewelry clearly designed for a woman. Then they looked closer at the mask. The ears were pierced, and that's a problem. You see, in ancient Egypt, only children and women wore earrings. An adult male pharaoh would never be depicted with pierced ears on his burial mask. It violated everything they believed in kingship and the afterlife. Researchers also noticed that the face looked unusually delicate, almost feminine, and the gold on the face had a significantly different tint than the rest of the mask, a subtle reddish hue that shouldn't be there if everything was made at once. So a theory started to form. What if the mask wasn't made for Tut? What if when he died suddenly, the priest didn't have time to create one? What if they grabbed an existing mask from another tomb, made quick changes, and hoped no one would notice? Well, that raised the obvious question. Whose mask was it? The answer pointed to Nefertiti. You've seen her face, that famous painted bust with a tall crown and elegant features. She was King Tut's stepmother, married to Pharaoh Akhenaten. You see, after her husband died, many historians believe she took power and ruled Egypt as pharaoh under a new name. Then all of a sudden, she vanished. No tomb, no mummy, no explanation. Like someone deliberately erased her. If Nefertiti died before Tut and had a royal burial mask prepared, and Tut then died unexpectedly with nothing ready, grabbing hers would make perfect sense. That explains the pierced ears, the feminine features, and the different gold color if they'd replace parts. But for decades, there was no way to prove it without damaging the mask. Then in 2014, the mask got damaged anyways. During a cleaning at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, a worker accidentally bumped the display. The braided beard snapped off, and museum staff panicked. But instead of calling experts, they just grabbed whatever adhesive was nearby. Epoxy, industrial glue meant for plumbing. They slathered it on and stuck the beard back. Later, they would find out. Egypt's most precious artifact had been repaired with hardware store glue. The government brought in German conservator Christian Ekman. His job was to remove the epoxy and restore the beard. But he also saw a chance to answer the Nefertiti question. Before reattaching anything, his team scanned the entire mask using X-ray fluorescence. If the face had been removed from another mask and soldered on, the X-ray would show different gold compositions, soldered lines, and chemical evidence. They spent months analyzing every detail. The results seemed conclusive. The gold matched. Hieroglyphs showed no signs of being carved over another name. The glass inlays were intact. If someone had applied heat to solder a face, that glass would have cracked. The Nefertiti theory was declared dead. Case closed. But not everyone was convinced. Some scientists argued Ekman's scans had a blind spot. What if ancient craftsmen used gold from the same source to fill the ear holes? What if they hammered the old name completely flat before carving a new one? What if they attached the face so precisely that the seam was only atoms thick? X-rays would miss all of that. To see changes at that level, you need technology that could read the thermal memory locked inside the atoms themselves. By 2024, that technology existed. Dr. Helena Voss is a materials physicist at the Max Planck Institute, specializing in quantum resonance imaging, a technique that detects changes at the atomic level. In late 2024, her team got permission to scan the mask. Officially, it was equipment calibration. No one expected new findings. The scan happened after the museum closed. For hours, everything looked normal. Then the scanner focused on the oval where King Tut's name is carved. Dr. Ahmed Hassan, an Egyptologist present that night, said the room went silent. Beneath the visible hieroglyphs, the quantum scanner picked up atomic displacement, evidence that the metal had been hammered flat, scraped, and reworked. What this means is someone had erased an older name and carved a new one on top. Dr. Voss ran it again. Same result. Then she recalibrated and got the same result again. The data was clear. But that wasn't the most shocking part. The full analysis dismantled a century of assumptions. First, the ears. But the quantum scan revealed two cylindrical plugs made from identical gold. Someone had filled the pierced holes and polished them so smoothly, no previous scan could detect it. The mask was made for someone who wore earrings. Second, the face. The scanner detected thermal ghosting, a molecular signature from a metal being heated and reshaped. That signature formed a line around the face where it meets the headdress. The craftsman had attached the face from behind using heat and pressure so precise it left the surface smooth. No visible seam, no cracked glass, just atomic memory only quantum imaging could detect. The face had been removed from another mask and transplanted. Dr. Hassan asked if the scanner could reconstruct the erased name, and Dr. Voss said yes. By analyzing microscopic deformations, the computer could reverse engineer what was there before. The program ran for 11 minutes. Slowly, buried hieroglyphs appeared, one symbol at a time. It wasn't Tutankhamun. It was somebody else. I'm gonna put the name right here because there's no way I can pronounce this. But this was the royal name scholars believe belonged to Nefertiti when she ruled as pharaoh. The full picture makes sense now. When Tut died suddenly, there was no mask ready. His successor likely took Tut's planned tomb. The priest had 70 days and no mask, so they went to Nefertiti's tomb and took hers instead. They filled her pierced ears with matching gold. They removed her face and replaced it with one that's carved to look like a young king. They heated and pressed the seam from behind so carefully it stayed hidden for over 3,000 years. They hammered her name flat and carved his over it. Then they sealed the tomb, hoping the secret would stay buried forever. Today, the mask sits in the Grand Egyptian Museum, and millions visit it every year believing they're seeing King Tut. But beneath that golden surface is the ghost of a queen erased from history, revealed only because we built a machine that could see what the ancient world tried to hide. The findings are still being verified, but the quantum data is clear. And it raises one final question. If they stole Nefertiti's mask to bury Tut, where is her real tomb? And whose face is she wearing now? If you stuck around for the end of this video, do me a solid and like the video. And if you want more videos like this, then subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.